Hello, hello, hello. Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching. Just wanted to do a video. I missed my regular live stream on Sunday, and I've had stuff on my mind. I've been doing stuff, but I wanted to dive into just sort of talking about what's going on. I want to thank Rob Maurer for all the years of giving us Tesla Daily News. Tesla Daily was a great podcast. I totally respect his decision to end it. I wanted to make this podcast, it's sort of an homage to Rob. Rob ended his. I'm still here. I'm still going. I'm still excited about talking to the audience, talking to people about what's happening with Tesla, what's happening with SpaceX, Boring Company, Neuralink. And, unlike Rob, I kind of mix in some of my own personal stuff. I have some thoughts on Bangkok I'm gonna relate in the course of this. But let's start off with Tesla. I posted this earlier today. Just a thought. There is a theme that's been running for, I don't know how long. There's a theme that's been running for probably more than a year, that Tesla needs to advertise. Tesla needs to advertise. They're lowering prices instead of advertising, and this is somehow a problem. I don't know, are you guys, I feel like I'm seeing a lag here. You guys, is everything okay on your end? If you're watching this, how's the stream? Stream is healthy. I'm getting conflicting messages from YouTube. So there's this message that Tesla needs to advertise, that if Tesla doesn't advertise, they're not going to be able to sell enough cars, that they're reducing production because there isn't enough demand. And there are, it is a little troubling that Tesla makes the best cars in the world and more people aren't buying them. And, the prices are reasonably low now, and they're not selling as many as we'd like. And there's a claim that the problem is that Tesla's not advertising, and Tesla needs to let consumers know that the prices are reasonable. They need to let consumers know that the cars are safe. They need to let consumers know that it's got enough range. There's this idea that Tesla needs an educational advertising campaign. Thank you, everybody. Oh, thank you, Danny. That somehow Tesla needs some sort of advertising campaign that's supposed to inform consumers about all these things about electric vehicles or about Teslas. And I've never really bought into this advertising hypothesis. And part of the problem is when you pin someone down who says Tesla needs to advertise, say, well, what's the message? What's the medium? How are they supposed to communicate this? I specifically called out Barry Black, my nickname for Gary Black, given to me by my friend Lincoln. Mob of Joggers on X. Please follow Mob of Joggers on X. He's consistently beat this drum that Tesla needs to advertise. And when you try to pin him down, and Gary doesn't, he's blocked me the fourth time now. I blocked him back. If somebody blocks me, I block them back. But if you try to pin someone like Gary down and say, well, what's the advertising strategy? He doesn't have one, right? It's like, well, you hire an advertising agency to do that. Well, that's not the Tesla way. The Tesla way is you figure it out. You need to understand it yourself. So I don't know. There's an argument that the economy has gotten stronger, that people are buying more cars, and that they're not buying more Teslas. And this is an indication, again, that the advertising is the problem. You'll hear anecdotes. Well, I was talking to my friend, and my friend was thinking about buying this EV, and I said, but a Tesla Model Y would be $20,000 less. And they didn't know that. And this assumes that consumers don't research cars before they buy them. I mean, I suppose it's possible that websites like Edmunds are not telling people, they're suppressing information about Tesla. There's car shopping websites. I suppose it's possible that the car shopping websites are hiding information about Tesla. I don't buy that consumers are not aware about Tesla. I don't buy that story. I think that fundamentally what drives Tesla sales is when you see your neighbor has one, and then your other neighbor has one. And then your third neighbor has one. You're like, well, maybe there's something here. Maybe I should find out more about this vehicle. When nobody in your neighborhood has Teslas, when you don't see Teslas in your daily life, you're less likely to think about it. When you start seeing them pop up, oh, Jim has a Tesla. Jim's a pretty sharp guy. I should go look into this. Maybe I should talk to Jim. Maybe I should research this more. And it doesn't take a lot of research to find out what the price is, right? Like the idea that you need to advertise, this is the price of a Tesla, as if people can't do a simple Google search. Go to Tesla.com. The consumer is so lazy, you have to force information down their throat. And which features you can advertise. So, but I have a different hypothesis. I'm not saying I'm correct. I just a hypothesis that if there is a shortfall in sales, if Teslas aren't selling as high a volume as we would like, if we think that there is some sort of gap between the value that Teslas deliver and the number of vehicles that people are buying. Maybe it's model variety. So I think it's Toyota sells 14 different models. GM has a whole bunch of different models. I think just Chevy has a whole bunch of different models. Is it the variety? Is it that there's not really much to, you have a Model 3 and Model Y are the only volume sellers Tesla has. Model S and Model X sell in very small volume. Cybertruck just got started. So Model 3 and Model Y are it. And if you buy a Model 3 standard range versus buying a Model 3 performance, it's not very different. Yeah, hey, Brian, I was busy on Sunday. It's Tuesday for me, by the way, in Bangkok. But I was busy on Sunday, and I have this habit of moving to different locations. I attended an event in Bangkok, and I posted about this. I think I posted about this on YouTube. I certainly posted about it on X. The Thailand Society of Automotive Engineers sponsors an event where university teams bring their vehicles. They build vehicles over the course of the year. They bring them and they test them and sort of compete. And I went to that event for 3 solid days. And then the 4th day, I had to get back into Bangkok. That was about an hour outside of Bangkok. And there was sort of like I don't want to call it an ordeal, but I just had to do a lot. So anyway, Toyota has all these models. Chevy has all these models. GM has a wide variety of models. Volkswagen has a wide variety of models. Tesla has 3 and Y. And the standard range Model 3 and the performance Model 3 and the long range Model 3 all look the same. And the standard range Model Y and the long range Model Y and the performance Model Y all look the same. There's a real value in this for Tesla that they can manufacture in extremely high volumes and really get unit costs down. And that lowers the price at which they're able to sell the cars and it improves margins. There's a question about whether Tesla could introduce greater model variety and whether that would capture more buyers. Like maybe I want to buy a Tesla like Jim, but I don't want it to look exactly like Jim's. And they have like 5 colors, right? There's only like 5 colors. There's not a lot that distinguishes my Tesla from somebody else's Tesla. So I'll talk about version 12, Ken, in a minute or a few minutes. So this is just a hypothesis. And I think when Tesla introduces the next generation vehicle platform, I think there's going to be a variety of models. I think that by country, the models that are introduced in China might be different than the models that are introduced in the United States, might be different than the models that are introduced in Europe. Currently, Model Y is the same globally. Model 3 is pretty much the same globally. Minor differences, but they're largely the same. So, will we see a Corolla-sized and Corolla format of the next generation vehicle? Will we see something like a RAV4 or a Honda CR-V style version? Will there be a little van version, kind of like the Ford Transit? I think there's potential for Tesla to really innovate on this next platform and offer a much wider variety of vehicles. And there's critics saying, "Oh, they should have done that sooner." Well, when you run a car company, let me know how it goes for you, right? How long did Ford sell the Model T? Right? It takes a while. Then they got to there's a Model A, Model T, whatever. It took a while before car companies were able to innovate in a way that allowed them to do variety. And when you do that variety, it probably raises manufacturing costs per unit. So there's a balance there. So I think just like a hypothesis, I'm curious what people think of that. I do think we're going to see greater variety in the next generation vehicle platform. I've been saying for a while that Tesla needs to make a larger version of Model Y to replace Model X. That a slightly longer, slightly wider version of Model Y, but with giga castings and all that. And I honestly think that's probably coming. And you get rid of the Falcon Wing doors, you dramatically lower the manufacturing cost, and it becomes easy to sell the car for, say, $60,000. Then you get your $7,500 tax credit, and it's got legit 7 passenger seating. I think that would sell in fairly high volume. So I think there's an opportunity there. All Teslas looking the same must drive speed traps nuts. Yes. I still don't think that the problem with advertising, MC says I'm more open to the ideas of advertising now than I was a year ago. The problem is, what's the message? What's the medium? Who's the target audience? Who are you trying to reach? I don't think it's that easy. I actually saw somebody responded to me on X today about this, saying Tesla needs to open more sales centers and service centers. Maybe that would do more. I don't know. Cybergirl 2027, is that? Oh, are these like models? Cyber SUV? Yeah, is there going to be a cyber SUV? Is there going to be a cyber van? I talked to Franz von Holzhausen about applying the stainless steel architecture for Cybertruck to other vehicle platforms, and I got the impression Cybertruck is it. Now, that was 3 years ago. Maybe they changed their minds, but I think the stainless steel approach makes sense for Cybertruck and probably doesn't make sense for a lot of other vehicles. So we'll see about that. Evan says, can't approve Falcon Wing doors look too cool. The problem with the Falcon Wing doors is they just really raise manufacturing costs and they increase warranty claims. They just add cost. And I love it. I have a Model X Plaid. I think it's great, but it's, I don't know if it's worth it. Am I on the run? Are the lives still after you? Has Barry Glack put a hit out on you? So we're going to talk about FSD. We're going to talk about some other things, but let me just talk about where I am and what I'm doing. So I am in Bangkok. I am in yet another Airbnb. I do have some pro tips if you're coming to Bangkok. Number one, there's a section of Bangkok called Sukhumvit, Sukhumvit, that runs between roughly Siam and Ekamai. If you're looking on a map, it's the green line on a transit map. That is an area that is particularly popular with foreigners, and you'll probably be more comfortable here and more people will speak English here. But I've been all over different parts. I still don't speak much Thai. So a few points about Bangkok. Number one, I think Airbnb is a good approach. You stay in a condo, fairly reasonable cost. You can get hotels really cheap. My first hotel was not in this area, not in the Sukhumvit. I'm not in Sukhumvit right now, but was not in the Sukhumvit or a foreigner popular area. I paid $14 a night. It's the Lucky Green View Hotel. If you want to travel cheap, the Lucky Green View Hotel in Bangkok, $14 a night included a breakfast buffet. There's an attached restaurant. You can get dinner for under $2. There's a convenience store in the hotel. Not luxury, but clean, decent space, out of the way. It's kind of not convenient if you want to go certain parts of Bangkok. It's near one rail line, one transit line. So what's my girlfriend status? I do have a girlfriend. I am happy to report girlfriend secured. I'm going to be seeing her later today. So I'm optimistic about that. So there's a whole bunch of things about life. So let's see. I just wanted to stress this point. When you're traveling in Bangkok, if you're doing Airbnb and the Airbnb says they have a gym, the gym almost certainly sucks. Okay, the gyms in the condo buildings, and unless it's a brand new condo building, like a year or two old, the gym is going to suck. The gym in this building sucks. Like the exercise bike they don't bother air conditioning the gym. What happens is like 90+% of the condo owners don't use the gym. So whenever there's a vote for how they're going to spend money for the condo association, they never spend money on the gym. So the equipment ages fast and doesn't get maintained, and you end up with not much working. And they have 2 huge air conditioners and they don't turn them on. And another condo I was in had 2 air conditioners and only one of them worked at a time. And they were off, and you would walk in and it'd be like 85 degrees in the gym, and you would get one of the air conditioners working, and by the time you left, it would have cooled down a few degrees. And that was like a pretty nice building. That was like a rooftop gym, nice views. Some of the equipment worked. I'd say more of the equipment worked in that gym, and that was a good location and everything. But it's just really striking how they always maintain the pool, because lots of people use the pool, and they know having a good pool helps sell your units, but no one cares about the gym. So it's unusual. I did stay in one in Bang Sue called Regent Home 28 that still has a good gym because it's a new building. Apparently there's a marketplace on Facebook for Thailand places to stay that's dirt cheap for Thai speakers. Oh, I have a friend who's renting a unit, an apartment in Thailand, Bangkok for $75 a month. No air conditioning. If you don't mind no air conditioning, you can stay really cheap. How's the food? Good question. Once you figure it out, the food is really good. So what's striking is how inexpensive it is to eat. Just like cost of living, if you decided, like the cheat code for life is make money in America, like being a YouTuber, or have money in America and live in Asia, right? Live in Japan, live in Thai. If you can live in Japan, it's hard to get a visa. It's relatively easy to get a visa in Thailand. I think Malaysia, some other countries, Philippines, I think it's relatively easy to get there and stay there. The cost of living is just dramatically lower. So my rent in Florida, in a not particularly great place, it was reasonably close to the beach, like a 10-minute walk to the beach, but it was a neighborhood of beat up old condos and apartments, and not a great location for going anywhere, doing anything. And I paid basically $2,000 a month. I paid $1,800 a month, but you add in the various expenses, it was $2,000 a month. Now, I could rent a small condo in Bangkok with air conditioning, with a pool, with a shitty gym, $300 a month. I'm probably, if I stay here long term, I'm probably going to rent a 500 square foot or 600 square foot 2-bedroom condo in a tower on like the 30th floor with a nice view, and a like rooftop infinity pool, or somewhere maybe it's like 8th floor infinity pool and a gym for like $700 a night in a good location, right? So if you're willing to compromise on location a little bit, and you're willing to compromise on some other details, you can rent a place for $300 a month. And you can eat easily. If you're so motivated, you can easily spend less than $10 a day on food. So that's $300 a month on food and $300 a month on your apartment. And transit, figure $100 a month on transit. You don't bother owning a car. So you're talking easily living under, and then if you drink, you can find ways to spend money. A hooker once a week is like $100 or something. I haven't bothered with that yet, but so you're talking like it's not that hard to live on $1,000 a month in Bangkok. And if you go outside Bangkok, it can be even cheaper. But if you just go to the outskirts of Bangkok, it's pretty cheap. If you can generate enough money to be able to, and if you live on $2,000 a month, you're living like a king here. $3,000 a month, it's crazy, right? I have a friend who's spending more than that. He's got, 2-floor condo on the beach, 2-story condo on the beach with, wraparound balcony. And, if you really want to spend money, but he's probably spending, $3,500 a month, I think, on his place. And it's like a spectacular unit, right? I don't pay bar fine. I haven't gone the bar fine route, Kevin. So for people who don't know, in Thailand, there are places that have bars that have bar girls. And if you want to take a bar girl home, you have to pay the bar to take her home. And that's called a bar fine. And then whatever you're going to do with the bar girl at home, that's a separate negotiation and cost. If you don't want to go with bar girls, there's what's called freelancers. If a woman in Thailand tells you she's a freelancer on a dating app, that means she's selling adult entertainment for money. She's not a date. She's not a girlfriend. So just little details. I was at an event, and there was like a meetup type event. People walking, and I was talking to this woman from Thailand. I says, "Oh, what do you do?" She says, "I'm a freelancer." I'm like, "What do you do?" She says, "I do digital marketing." I'm like, okay, never tell a Western man that you're a freelancer. Because every Western man in Bangkok knows what a freelancer is. And most Thai women know what a freelancer is, but apparently she didn't. Have I tried looking at places that are close to ending their lease on royal land? No, I haven't looked at that. Healthcare costs. Healthcare, my general sense, I haven't had to spend a lot. I did just have a whole bunch of blood work done for $300. I don't have insurance. And it was like $300 to get like a really large number of blood tests done. It's like 9 vials of blood or something like that. And, my ApoB and my CRP and my LDL and my testosterone and, yada, 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 a whole bunch of stuff. So I have a friend who, if you pay for health insurance, my general sense is the costs are extremely low, and the health insurance doesn't cost that much. But, and the Bum Run Grad Hospital is supposed to be a very, very good hospital. That's where I got my blood work done. So I think in general, healthcare cost is low here. Medicare probably doesn't cover you here, but I don't know the answer to that question. Did you get to go snorkeling at the beach? I didn't even go in the water. I'm not a big go in the ocean water kind of guy. We'll see. Is weed legal here? Weed is legal, but they just changed the law, and I'm not sure what's going on with that. So you want to actually go. There are YouTube channels that are talking about the current legal status of marijuana, and I don't know the answer. Now I want to talk about dating for a second. If you come to Thailand and you want to date, and there are apps, Thai Friendly and Thai Cupid, I believe you can start dating, you can start arranging dates on those apps. Also, I think Bumble and Hinge and Tinder, you probably can do this from a distance, travel mode or something like that. Meet women, and then, like, if you're planning a trip, say, hey, I'm going to be here on this date. I think that quality women, the women that you want to date if you want to find a long-term relationship, are going to want to date somebody who's here. But in the Philippines, in Thailand, there are women who will start talking to you online, even if you're not there yet. And you have to be very careful, because what they want to do, some of them want to do, is establish a relationship with you and then tell you they need money and get you to give them money. And there are plenty of stories of men getting scammed by that. So there's a really shocking experience for me to start using Thai Friendly and Thai Cupid in particular here in Bangkok. Is when I'm in America and I'm using dating apps, I get maybe one match a week, and I get maybe one first date a month. And in Thailand, I'm getting like messaged by women, stream of matches. I started narrowing down who I was looking at. Because I want children, I want somebody under 35. So I knocked it down to, and I'm flexible on that. So I knocked it down to under 40. Then I knocked it down to under 35. And I basically found for myself, I decided I wanted to date women with an education who spoke some English, reasonably good English. And that narrowed down my pool a lot. If you don't care if they speak English, which a lot of men really don't care about having a conversation with a woman they're dating, I get bored fast. If I'm dating, I dated a few women who didn't speak much English, and I just got bored fast. I don't get excited, even if she's pretty. I don't get excited if I can't talk to her, and if she can't talk to me, that just doesn't work. So, but my big advice is, if you go on these apps, you will attract a lot of attention that you are not used to in America. And because I'm older, I'm not getting much attention from women under 35 in America, but that doesn't seem to be as much of an impediment here in Thailand. And the lesson there is, I'm reasonably wealthy by American standards and extremely wealthy by Thai standards. If you are an average Thai woman who lives on, makes, what do they make? Like $600-700 a month, maybe $600. They might even make $500 a month, and they're living in a $100 a month shitty apartment with no refrigerator. They might have an air conditioner, they might not have an air conditioner, and it's out of the way, and it takes them 15 minutes from the transit system to get to their home by taking what's called I don't know what they call it. It's a pickup truck with seats in the back that's extended, and it basically becomes a bus, and it costs you 30 cents for a ride on that, and it costs you $1 for a ride in the transit, whatever. And they just end up spending money and time on all this, and all of a sudden they're like, if they get a long-term relationship with someone like me, and I have an apartment, instead of paying $100 a month for an apartment, I'm paying $700 a month for a luxury apartment, luxury condo, and they can live with me, and they don't have to work anymore, right? Or they can work a reasonable job instead of this one woman I dated briefly. She was working 7 days a week, got like 2 days off a month. All of a sudden, their life gets a lot easier. And if they're thinking about the future and they're thinking about having children, like I want to have children, the future for their children will be a lot brighter with an educated man of means and status who's able to help the kids, financially, and help the kids get a better education and so on, and maybe get the kids an American passport. There's a lot of things that an American or European brings to the table, so to speak, for a Thai woman that we don't really bring to the table for an American woman, right? An American woman doesn't care that her kids are going to get an American passport because they're involved with us, right? They don't get that. They're not as poor. Generally speaking, American women make more money, live better. Although I'm wealthier than average, that my living standard wasn't that high in America because I don't spend money on myself. So I don't think they're getting that much. How much net worth is considered very wealthy in Thailand? I don't know the answer to Tesla Money Man. I just know that, by Thai standards, the fact that I'm looking at renting a $700 a month condo, which I think is shockingly cheap. That's a third of what I was paying in America, and it's going to be a luxury condo with a pool and a gym and great location, as compared to what I had before for $2,000 a month that didn't have a pool, didn't have a gym, didn't have a great location. Does your girlfriend understand your Tesla thesis? What's her 2030 price target? My girlfriend is somewhat interested. She is a tech. She has a bachelor's in computer science, and she has a master's degree in management information systems. She is curious. We watched the Inspiration 4 Countdown documentary on Netflix together. And she enjoyed that. So you may have to buy the parents a water buffalo and cold, though. So soapy massage for you. I have not gone to a massage parlor. That's another detail about Bangkok. If you're walking down the street and you see a massage parlor and no one is sitting outside, and there's a picture of a woman who looks like she's getting a relaxing massage, not dressed, sexy. That's probably a normal massage parlor. If you're walking down the street and there's 5 women sitting outside the massage parlor telling you to come inside, there's probably some extra services offered in that massage parlor. That's my guess. I don't know. I've never been inside. I haven't been inside either massage parlor. I'm not big on massages. How many Teslas have you seen over there? Great question, Mike. I've been seeing more Teslas. Well, so when I first got here, I didn't see very many. I've been seeing more. I've been seeing a lot of BYDs. Levine family, you've come a long way since West Spoken News. I remember your lunch date before you even had a Tesla. I remember our lunch date before you even had a Tesla. Okay, thank you. I don't remember that lunch date. That's a long time ago. If she watches the earnings call with you, she's wife material. Will you consider living in Vietnam? We are going to Vietnam at the end of this month. I'm taking my girlfriend to Vietnam at the end of this month. My view of relationships is you start dating. If your dating strategy is you start dating somebody and you do dinner and drinks or dinner or drinks and then sex, and you do that 20 times in a row, you don't learn that much about each other. You probably have fun, just to be clear, but you're not learning that much about each other. You have to put your relationship through different challenges and experience each other in different ways. So going on a weekend trip somewhere. My favorite is going on a road trip. Go on a 7-hour road trip with somebody. If you don't want to kill them by the end of the road trip or anywhere during the road trip, that's probably a good relationship. If Tesla stock falls after earnings, then isn't Tesla stock the most predictable stock? In some ways, that's true. Am I fluent on Thailand DUI laws? No. I don't pay attention to Thailand laws at all. The Zebra market? I don't remember the Zebra market. Wow. Did we have steak? I don't remember that. Oh my God. But it's early Alzheimer's. Go easy on me. So yeah, Google Translate. No, Google Translate does work on dates. You are able to communicate in a limited way, but it's not great. So I would just say like life and I want to say this, there's a website called nomadlist.com. And it is a website that sort of talks about digital nomad life. I'm a digital nomad. I'm a YouTuber. I can work from anywhere. I make content. I'm a content creator on the X platform. I make money on both platforms. I can do that from anywhere. And so I can be a content creator in America. I can be a content creator in Latin America. I can be a content creator in Asia, so on and so forth. So someone like me can become a digital nomad and travel the world and find places where I like to work. And you can go from place to place. So Japan, I can go for 90 days at a shot. American citizens can go to Japan for 90 days at a shot. So go to Japan for 90 days and go somewhere else. Hotel rooms easily under $50 a night. If you know what you're doing and you get a service department with mybiz.navi, then maybe $1,100 a month for a pretty nice, small but nice apartment at a good location. And you can travel, right? And you can go different places. So you spend 90 days in Japan, you spend 60 days in Thailand, you do 30. I think there's a way of getting a longer term visa if you get it from the United States before you leave. Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia, go to Bali. Bali is apparently a really hot place for digital nomads. There's lots of spots in the Philippines. In the Philippines, they speak English. In Malaysia, they speak English. I'm not sure about Indonesia yet. Thailand, they don't speak English, but lots of foreigners here seem to get by without speaking Thai. What's that startup inside? So I think there's a lot of mileage in being a digital nomad. Now, so Bangkok is the city that is chosen by Nomad List as the most attractive, and there's a lot of different visa options so that you can stay in Thailand, more long term. There's a lot of great restaurant options. You can eat for $1 a meal if you really want to push it. You go to Terminal 21, the 5th floor food court. You can basically eat for $1 if you really want to eat cheap. $2, less than $2, you're eating pretty well. $1.50, $1.25. You can spend more if you want to, but you can eat that cheap. And anywhere you go, you can easily spend less than $10 and get a good meal. You can spend more than $10 if you want. On 441. That's not ringing a bell. Zebra Market. I don't remember that name at all. Whatever you do, Warren, don't live in Hong Kong. Extremely expensive place to live in. Girls are hard to get to, just FYI. I think Singapore and Hong Kong are different. They are more expensive places to live. From a dating perspective, what happens is in Thailand, there's a large number of relatively young women who don't have a lot of great options. Just sort of the men that are available to them. They don't have a lot of great options. The Thai men supposedly the Thai men don't treat them well. Western men, this is something like Western men have this bad reputation in America that like American men, are crappy or whatever. But in Asia, we have a reputation of being nicer than the Asian men are to women. Whatever, take it for what it's worth. Do I miss anything about the USA? Not really. I miss my friends. Yeah. Do I hang out with Americans? So there's a lot of, if you use the meetup.com app, meetup.com website or the meetup app on your phone, there's tons of meetups of, I would say, Europeans and Americans generally, and Asians as well. There's a lot of Japanese here. There's a lot of Koreans here. A lot of meetups. Levine family, you were still married and you sounded so ready to be set free. Honestly, I'm just jealous you're living a new life. You remember me. Ultimately, you chose not to partner with my trading education company. I don't remember the trading education part. So I miss my friends. It's funny. You think I would miss driving my Teslas. I don't. I miss my kids, but I talk to my kids on FaceTime, and when I expect them to come here, and I'll spend a lot of time with them. I spent a lot of time with them in May when we traveled to Japan together. $12 each on lunch. Wow, that's crazy expensive now. Cambodia is the best for visas. Anyone can get a 1-year visa for $300 to $400. I got a visa to India, a 5-year visa, 180 days a year maximum, 5-year visa for $80. $80 for now. I don't particularly want to go to India. I'm not sure Cambodia is better than India, though. Did I relocate to Thailand? I have not chosen a long-term location yet. Now let me go into this event that I just went to. I'm going to be publishing a video about the event I went to. It's the Thailand Society of Automotive Engineers Auto Challenge 2024. A bunch of teams from Thailand universities and the Monash University Malaysia team showed up at the event as well. And they build vehicles and they put them on a track. They pass inspections and they put them on the road. It's at the Pathum Thani Speedway. And they have a course set up, autocross course. They have acceleration testing, brake testing, skid pad testing. And one of the things that stood out to me was the Monash Malaysia team was far and away the best electric vehicle team. I still have the hope that I'm going to start up the Podcar company. I'm starting to think that Malaysia, if I was able to go to Malaysia and hire students from the Malaysia team, sorry, a little backstory here on the hiring part. If I wanted to hire an engineer fresh out of college in America, a good quality mechanical engineer, let's say, probably be looking at $100,000 a year. Japan, probably $30,000 a year. Thailand and Malaysia, $10,000 a year. So they all have the same experience building electric vehicles on these teams. Maybe the Americans are a little better. I think the Japanese teams are clearly better than the Thai and Malaysia teams, but not that much better. And I think the Japanese teams put more time in. The Thai teams maybe only put 3 months in. I think the Japanese teams put in like 10, 11 months. I think the Malaysia team put in 6 months. But I'm thinking about whether I want to locate in Malaysia rather than Thailand. And sort of like if I found the woman, the reason I didn't want to locate in Malaysia was I didn't think Malaysia was the place to find the woman. But if I found the woman in Thailand and she's willing to go to Malaysia, which is not very far, which we'll talk about, then maybe that's the place to start up the Podcar company. I love when girls say, "Me love you long time." I haven't asked her to say that yet. Jeffrey Lum, I'm 32 and working like a zombie. Do you recommend just taking a gap year, quit my job, and enjoy my 32 before I regret it when I turn 50? Jeffrey, I think it depends on what your goals are in life. If you are married already, then you have a life. My advice, like the biggest advice I have in life is have kids. Find a partner and have children, because you will find more meaning in having children than you will find in anything else in life. That's what I found. Having children is the greatest thing I've done in life. I want to do it. I liked it so much I want to do it again. If you feel you can take a year off and then come back to America and get a job, if you decide that's what you do, that's fine. I think that depends on your skill set. It's dangerous to take a year off if you don't know if you're going to be able to get a job when you come back. If you have enough money saved up, let's say you have $20,000 in the bank, then you can afford to live in Thailand for a year if you live cheap. You have to work out what visa you're getting. You have to work out how you're going to pull that off. By the way, the strategy in Thailand that I've been told is you get a certain visa. I think if you register from the US, my friend just told me you can get like a 6-month multiple entry visa. So I would look into that. I didn't do that. You can just show up and you get a 30-day visa, and then you go to a place called IT Laxi and you get a 30-day extension. And then you leave the country for a few days and you come back and you repeat. Rinse, wash, repeat. I know a guy's been doing that for like 7 years. I don't recommend that strategy. I think my expectation is if I stay in Thailand, I'm going to get either a retirement visa or a startup visa. So my BIL lives in a village in Siem Reap province, Cambodia. If you go to Angkor Wat, you'll be near. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. I don't know enough about Cambodia, Laos, or Vietnam yet. I'll be in Vietnam briefly, but I don't think I'll learn enough about it. Oakland, yeah, that's another thing. Safety here. If I go in Bangkok and we double date, I met a girl from there. She's inviting me in April. Yes, assuming I'm still in Bangkok. Yes, I'm happy to go on a double date. Yeah, the safety here is like amazing. Like that, there's no significant crime in Bangkok. It's striking to be the same thing in Tokyo, same thing in Singapore. I think it's the same thing is true in Kuala Lumpur. Asian cities are so much safer than American cities. Not that American cities are that unsafe, but in Japan you could leave a Rolex somewhere and they would bring it to lost and found. You could leave cash and they'll bring it to lost and found. That's just the way it is. You're in a coffee shop here. I think there are places in the world where if you leave your laptop on the table at a coffee shop and go to the bathroom, you come back, your laptop's gone. Not in Asian cities. Nobody's stealing your laptop. Heinz Buck says, go to Pattaya. Look for Buzzin' Pattaya YouTube guy, former English military. There's Pattaya is known among Westerners as a place with a heavy saturation of prostitution. I believe that there's other parts of Pattaya that are worth seeing, but a lot of Westerners hate Pattaya because some of them love it because they want the prostitution. Some of them hate it because they think that's just not it. Tesla Moneyman says, Warren, do you consider yourself retired now? Just wondering. I consider myself a digital nomad. I mean, I'm eligible for retirement visa. I still earn an income. I don't feel like I'm working. But I retired at 45. I'm 57, and I sucked at it, and I kept finding things to do. So I don't know what retired means anymore. Just checked in. You should come up to Chiang Mai. So the thing about Thailand, this is another detail about Thailand. Thailand, for about 4 months a year, Thailand is covered in a blanket of air pollution. And Chiang Mai is in the middle of it. Bangkok is part of it. Pretty much all of Southeast Asia is covered in a blanket of air pollution for about 4 months a year. Now, you can get an air purifier for your home. You can wear a mask when you go out. There's measures you can take to reduce your exposure to air pollution. And if you're just here for a week or even a year, it's not that big of a deal. If you're thinking you're going to live in Southeast Asia for 20 years, it's a problem. Lang F10, why not get a Malaysian lady? So Malaysia, first of all, I found the woman that I like. I think she might be the one. It's early yet. We've been dating for 3 weeks, but I form opinions quickly. If I find the right woman, I find the right woman, take her where we want to go. And I don't think it's hard for her to go to Malaysia if you're from Thailand. It's harder to date in Malaysia because a large chunk of the population is Muslim, and Muslims are probably not going to marry a Jew, and I'm not sure Jews want to marry Muslims, and I don't know enough about that. And then another chunk of the population is Chinese Malays, and the Chinese are a little harder to date than Thai women. It's funny, my friend Darren, his mother's from Malaysia, and she said, date Thai women. So, official Playboy. Is dating real hard? You call this retirement? Yeah, so I was dating multiple women. And there's this strategy that the red pill community talks about that you should want to be dating like 5 women at the same time. That would drive me nuts. I was dating, one time I had 3 dates in one day. It's just like insane, like a morning coffee date, an afternoon coffee date, and a dinner date or something like that. That's too much. Once I found somebody I liked, I'm like, good, I'm done. I turned off all the dating apps. Are you there for the wolf? I don't know what the wolf is. If you mean the wife, I'm hoping to find somebody to have children with. No, you think the air is clear, Tom. If you go to the air quality app, generally speaking, most of Southeast Asia is covered in a blanket of air pollution. Go to Google air quality Bangkok or air quality Chiang Mai, and you'll find out that your number is probably over 100 today. And that's not good. How's the weather? Bangkok is hot. It's only hot about 370 days a year. It's not too bad. It's pretty hot. I get used to it. I lived in Florida. It's not that much hotter than Florida. So Date Thai women, never marry them. So I don't think that's fair to lump all Thai women together. So my rule is date educated Thai women who speak English. And I don't know why people think you shouldn't marry Thai women. I don't understand that. The marriage and divorce laws are a lot more favorable to men in Asia than they are in America. I don't know what the theory is about why not to marry them, but I'm not converting to Muslim, so that's out. How many children do you want? Do your current children support this dream? I want 2, 3, 4 more children. Yes, my children support me. I talk to my existing children about this, and they're fine with it. Give us a picture. I'm not making a picture of my girlfriend public yet. I don't know that she wants to be public. We are talking about doing a new YouTube channel. So one of the ideas that I have for us for the future, she likes beaches. She likes life on the beach. One of my ideas for our future is that we travel the world, one beach at a time, 1 month at a time. And we start a channel that I'm tentatively named Bikini Nomad. To be clear, she wears the bikini. I do not wear the bikini. And the channel is not really like bikini, the whole channel. The channel is like a travel vlog about, the nomad life in this location. We do 3 videos in each location. So 3 videos a month, maybe 4. And there may be moments where you see her in a bikini, right? So we're talking about that as a possibility. We're also talking about living in a beach town long term. We're talking about living in Bangkok long term. There's a lot of different things we're talking about. It's too early yet. It's still like, hey, let's spend some more time together. Let's get some more experience with each other together. But I could just say, like, I just really like her. Spend time together. I like spending time with her. She's smart. She's interesting. She seems to like me. Beware of younger ladies who only care for your money and assets. They leave you empty-handed even after having a few kids. I think I know how to protect myself when it comes to that, but thank you. Tiki Nomad, you'd be cute in a bikini. Sure. No banana hammocks, please. I don't even know what a banana hammock is. Are they as spicy as the food? By the way, but Thai food can be spicy if you're not careful. I'm happy with the Thai food. A lot of Westerners eat a lot of non-Thai food. There's a ridiculous volume of Japanese restaurants in Bangkok. It's like, not just in the foreigner areas. The Japanese populations are hugely popular everywhere. I don't think a prenup is necessary. And, my money's in America. I want to see Warren in the bikini more than his girlfriend. The view count would be amazing. No, that would not be amazing. I like bikinis. I'm not going to apologize for liking bikinis. And yes, my girlfriend looks good in a bikini. In my opinion, right? I told her, you can't read the comments if we do this channel. People are going to say you look this. Because some people are going to say you're too fat. Some people are going to say you're too thin. Some people are going to say your boobs are too small. Whatever it is, don't worry about it. All right. So let's get back to Tesla. Enough about Warren and Bangkok. If you have questions about Bangkok, I'm happy to address them. And I would say just generally, if you have the opportunity, consider traveling in Asia. A lot of people talk about Vietnam. I haven't been there yet. I'm about to go. Consider visiting the Philippines. Consider visiting Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia. A lot of people talking about Bali. Probably going to go to Bali soon. Check that out. Jared says, I'd like to chat about my career move on an X Space, something with you. Okay. Yeah, Jared, DM me on X. If you have a verified account, I'll see it. If you don't have a verified account, it might take me a little while to see it, but I will see it. Or my email is wredlick@gmail.com. Fine ladies have moral standards and honesty, empathy, etc. Yeah, I think the key thing is there's a lot of stories. If you go on, read the channel, watch the YouTube channels, there's a lot of stories of how men have gotten screwed by women, scammed by women in Thailand. So, short answer is don't give them money, right? If your relationship is built on giving them money, that's probably not a good relationship in general anyway. You can pay for shit, right? You pay for the housing, you pay for the food, whatever, buy your dinner, whatever. But if you start handing them cash, I'm not saying it's impossible to make that work, but it's, starts to become questionable. A lot of people pump in Chiang Mai. So, I'm looking for a place where I can start up the Podcar company. I'm looking for a place where I want to live, where my girlfriend might want to live. She likes beaches. I like beaches. So Chiang Mai is not known for its beaches. I think kids are collateral damage to having fun, but I love them and took damn good care of them. I think kids are fun. Kids are fantastic. I love that being a father is, I identify as a dad. So Okay, so I want to talk about FSD version 12. So Omar's blog got version 12 of FSD. It appears that version 12.1.2 is spreading and more people are getting it. I think it's maybe around 1,000 people have it or 100 people have it outside of the Tesla employees or something. And that's going to spread. And there's varying reports of how good it is. I don't think, and I posted this on X, I don't think it's that important how good version 12.1.2 is. What matters with Tesla FSD is how quickly does this change how fast it improves and how much it improves. We've gone from this version of Tesla FSD that has like 300,000 lines of human written code to a version that's basically end-to-end machine learning. There's a lot less code. And as the car racks up experience, as the software racks up experience on millions of cars, they identify places where it's performing badly. They upload that video of those bad moments. Then they find video of good human drivers handling similar moments, and they retrain the software to drive like Chuck Cook did in there. Drive like, all these Chuck Cook-like drivers, Chuck Cook, Teslatino, Raphael, find a really good driver, see how they handle that situation, upload those clips to the training computer, and retrain the software to drive that way in those situations. And I think that turning that wheel and adding more computing power and adding more data is what's really going to accelerate the development of FSD. That's my thought on it. And then the question is, this is the big question, right? From an investor standpoint. Let's talk about the investor standpoint for a second, which relates to FSD. Tesla stock has been flat for a while. Now, if you bought 5 years ago, you're up a lot. If you bought 4 years ago, you're still up a lot. But if you bought 3 years ago, you're kind of flat. 3, 2, 1, flat, down, up, whatever. It hasn't gone up that much in the last 3 years. Okay. So what do we have? We have a company that has been growing consistently over that 3 years without seeing the stock price grow. We have a company that's been innovating technologically for that 3 years. We have not seen that cause the stock price to grow. And I describe it as a coiled spring. There's a spring that's compressed, right? It's being pushed down from the top by media and Wall Street and Fudsters and Tesla Q, whatever, pushing down from the top saying, oh no, Tesla's not shit. Tesla's got problems. Oh, the competition is coming. There's a Tesla killer. They don't know how to do blah, 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 so on and so forth, pushing down on the spring. And underneath, coming up on the spring, is all the innovation at Tesla, all the factory development, all the improvements are pushing up. At some point, this spring is going to unleash. It's going to uncoil. It's going to shoot up. So what are the triggers? And I don't know when they're going to, I'm not making a prediction about when any of this is going to happen. But what are the triggers that are going to unleash the spring? Next generation vehicle. Sometime this year, we're probably going to learn more about the next generation vehicle. It's really striking that Tesla has not given us specs. They haven't said hardly anything about the next gen vehicle. In some ways, I think they learned a lesson from Cybertruck that they missed on some details like range on the high-end model. That the tri-motor doesn't have the range that they thought it would have. Dual motor, by the way, dual motor all-wheel drive got more range than they projected. Yeah, it's more expensive, but prices of a lot of things went up. They really delivered a lot on the dual motor all-wheel drive Cybertruck, which is the one I'm expecting to get in the fall, assuming I have a place I can take it and bring it in. I'm not sure yet about Malaysia, or if I go to Malaysia. I'm pretty sure I can't bring it meaningfully to Thailand, so that's out. So this, the next gen vehicle, when we learn about the next gen vehicle, let's suppose, I want to say they're going to announce it's going to be $20,000, but I think practical reality is probably going to be a $25,000 car with a $7,500 tax credit in the US. You're talking about, and even $27,500, you're talking about a $20,000 or less car, practically speaking, to most buyers. Assuming it's anywhere near good, like it's close to a Model 3, that should sell like insanity. Right, and that's maybe when you advertise pricing, right? If you're able to sell that car for $20,000 and you're able to manufacture it in volume so you can meet the demand, yeah, that's going to be off the charts. That's going to help uncoil the spring. FSD, if they cross the threshold. Now, what's the threshold? The first threshold is turn off the nags. You have to stay in the driver's seat, but you don't have to pay attention anymore. But you have to be ready if the car says, hey, you need to take over, you need to be ready to take over. That's step one. And it's not very far from step one to step two. You don't have to sit in the driver's seat. The car can drive without a human in it. The gap from taking away the nags to letting the car drive without a human in it or having you sit in the back seat, that gap is really small. So you're probably talking about 6 months from crossing that line to full-on robotaxi. This is my guess. I'm not an expert on AI. I'm not an expert on regulatory issues, whatever. But once you see that they take away the nags and they start reporting the crash rates are down, right? And the NHTSA stops whining about FSD and like, wow, this is really good. You start seeing positive news about FSD. You're going to see negative news about FSD because the media will constantly FUD it. But if you see that they take away the nags and they're allowed to keep the nags off, that is one of the things that can start uncoil the spring. Because you know once you hit that, you're really close to robotaxi. And when you hit robotaxi, that's when you unlock, $500 billion a year in gross profit. 10 million vehicles, 10 million vehicles, $50,000 a year in gross profit per vehicle. It's $500 billion a year in gross profit. That's a big unlock, right? Tesla bot. My gut hunch is we just saw a Generation 2 Tesla bot. Are they going to start manufacturing that bot at scale? I think not. I want to say yes, but I think not. But I think we're going to see one more iteration of Optimus. One more iteration, and then they start manufacturing at some scale. And I don't mean they manufacture millions, but I mean they manufacture 10,000 or 100,000. And then how they deploy them. So I think that the Optimus unlock, the unleashing of Optimus in terms of uncoiling the spring is probably 2025 at the earliest. I think there's a chance that the next-gen vehicle starts unleashing the spring. The spring starts to uncoil on the next-gen vehicle this year, maybe third quarter, fourth quarter. Just guessing, right? Not financial advice. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence. Blah 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 blah. But we know we've seen growth from underneath. We know they are gearing up for mass scale production of this next gen vehicle platform. We know they've got permits to build a 500,000 unit factory in Berlin. We know they've got plans to build, I think, a 2 million unit factory in Mexico. We know they've got a manufacturing line at Giga, Texas. They're almost certainly going to manufacture 2 million a year in Shanghai. Really good chance they manufacture in Indonesia or Thailand. Some chance they manufacture in India. I think the next gen vehicle long run is an 8 million unit a year vehicle. The platform. There's more than one model in that. So I generally agree with Dan. I generally agree with Cern Basher on his model for Tesla bot. We disagree on small details, but I think we largely agree on what the long-term value is. Model Y refresh is coming, but I don't see that being a big deal. I don't think the Model 3 refresh has been that big of a deal. I'm not saying it was wrong. I think what really matters is the next generation vehicle platform. And once the next generation vehicle platform is up and being manufactured, then I expect to see 3, Y, S, and X all do complete redos. Completely redo Model 3 and Y and S and X. And if you redo Model 3 and Y to 48 volt architecture, 800 volt powertrain, steer by wire, unboxed process, or whatever the manufacturing methods they're doing with the next gen vehicle platform. Once they're manufacturing the next gen vehicle platform at scale, if the robotaxi network goes live, all of a sudden, your revenue and profits start going up, and you have the freedom to say, all right, we're going to take down this factory and totally redo it, or they build a new factory. Right? I don't know how you're going to get there, but that's going to happen. Giga Phuket. No, I think so. Sorry. Let's talk about Thailand again for a second. I think that the location that makes, I get biased. For a long time I was stuck on Giga Osaka. Darren Jung persuaded me that Southeast Asia is more important than Japan and more important than India. When they announced Berlin and Austin, they said they chose cities where young engineers would want to live. Right? You're hiring a bunch of engineers to work in your factory. Where would they want to live? Well, Bangkok is the #1 city on nomadlist.com. It is a hugely popular city for foreigners. So if you locate your factory, I'm going to say Samut Prakan, which is southeast of Bangkok, but close to Bangkok. That would be similar to Brandenburg. That would be similar to Giga Austin, Giga Texas, just outside of Austin, Texas, Brandenburg, just outside of Berlin. If you locate the factory there, now all the engineers can go into Bangkok when they want to have fun. And there's so much to do in Bangkok. It's, probably the most exciting city in the world. Tokyo might be better, but it's one of the most exciting cities in the world. What's with that space, as you keep saying, is fire? Oh, my friend Adrian who has a voice sort of like Elon, does Spaces. And I think he just has, if you like Spaces on X, they're fun spaces. Evan Glansman, Warren, do you feel vindicated? Elon said he never heard of Highland. He said that Highland wasn't real. Which I had a t-shirt that said it's not real. I was walking on air for like 24 hours after that. I had so many people tagging me on X. Hey, Warren, did you see this? Yes, I saw it. He also liked one of my posts yesterday or the day before yesterday. I do think we're going to see a Model Y refresh. Model Y Plaid. I think it'd be interesting to see whether they do a Model 3 Plaid. John Listro says nothing in short term going to prop up the stock. I don't pay attention to short-term stock prices. I don't really worry that the stock is up or down. I don't have short-term stock price predictions. I think that sometime in the next 2 years, and maybe this year, we're going to start seeing things that unlock the coiled spring. It's a coiled spring. All the negativity in the media and the FUD and the Tesla Q and the Wall Street analysts compressing the stock and all this growth that's internal to the company that's happening, the spring is getting compressed tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And something's going to unleash that. Now, does that mean we go from $200 some a share to $300 to $400 to $500? I think it depends how much of an unlock you get. But yeah, I think those things are going to happen. Am I concerned, Elon, to leave Tesla if the compensation package doesn't work out with the board of directors? Yes, I do think there's a concern that Elon will leave Tesla. I think it's unlikely, but I think it's a concern. I think we're waiting to see what the Delaware court does with his compensation package. And probably if they rule against his compensation package, there'll be an appeal. So that's going to take another 6 months to a year. And once that's resolved, they'll probably do a compensation package to work it out. Tokyo is too costly. Tokyo is not too expensive to live. I can get a service department in Tokyo, a studio / it's a 1K in Shibuya, which is a great location, for $1,100 a month. The company is mybiz.navi, mybiz.navi. They do service apartments. There's service apartments all over Tokyo for $1,100 a month. They're small. They're great locations. And the cost of eating out in Tokyo is less than the cost of eating out in America. The cost of groceries, tofu, you can buy tofu for like 40 cents at Mega Donkey, Don Quixote, like 40 cents for a thing of tofu. You cook for yourself, you live cheap. If you go out to eat, I can eat lunch at $3 at Caesarea. I could get a really nice lunch for $7. Get a bowl of soup, noodle soup. Was it Kitsune Udon in Tokyo we got for 440 yen, which was like $3. Yeah, Tokyo is cheap. Bangkok is cheaper. But if you like Japanese food is cheaper in Japan and it's better quality. So I kind of miss Japanese food and life in Japan a little bit. I don't miss dating. I don't miss the winter, but I do think Japan has a lot going for it. I don't think the earnings is going to have a significant... I don't have an opinion on Q4 earnings. I don't know what's going to happen in the Q4 earnings call. I've started to believe that the earnings calls, we don't learn that much from the earnings calls. What they say in the earnings calls is not that important. Now, because it's a Q4 earnings call, they're going to make some talk. They're going to be some talk about what's happening next year, and supposedly Elon's going to give a presentation about the results of 2023 and what he expects for 2024. And maybe there'll be some revelations in there, but really they've been really sparse with information. So at some point, maybe they announce Giga Bangkok. I think Giga Bangkok would be a significant announcement. People don't realize the Southeast Asian auto market is bigger than the Japanese market, and it's the third largest car market in the world. If you include Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, a couple other countries as one block, which they are pretty much one block, it's pretty much a free trade zone as far as I know, then, Thailand is the second largest pickup truck market in the world. There's pickup trucks everywhere in Thailand and Malaysia and Indonesia. So a Wolverine Cybertruck would sell really well in Southeast Asia. So I would love to see a Giga Bangkok making next generation vehicle and making a Wolverine Cybertruck. I don't know about the quality of the labor force in Thailand. I don't know about the challenges of running a business like that in Thailand, about getting full ownership for Tesla and, being able to have a wholly owned company. I don't know the answer to that. Do I cook in Asia or mostly eat out? Depends on my circumstances, sir. When I was living in Japan, I was in 12 weeks in the same place. I cooked for myself. I made breakfast and lunch for myself almost every day. Sometimes I would go out for lunch and make myself dinner. I would usually make 2 meals a day at home. Lately, I've been traveling and staying in Airbnbs with variable quality of kitchen. And what I want to buy to cook is not as straightforward. So I typically eat breakfast at home, and sometimes I make myself lunch or dinner. But if you're in an Airbnb for 4 or 5 days, it's hard to make it work. I think once I'm going to Vietnam. When I come back, I may rent a place for a month, and then I'll have more of the lifestyle that I want. BYD is doing well, but BYD does not make a lot of profit on their models. So if BYD sells more cars than Tesla, but Tesla makes more profit per car, I'm not too worried about that. And people need to stop thinking that BYD and Tesla are competing with each other. BYD and Tesla are partners. BYD sells batteries to Tesla. They are partners in competing together to remove gasoline, fossil fuel vehicles from the road. I think that's one of the classic mistakes. What do I think of the new MIT battery VW invested in? I don't think about it at all. Was I just talking to? I think there's a lot of potential. We're going to see some more innovation in battery technology, but the simple reality is lithium iron phosphate batteries from CATL are cheap and they're effective for most vehicles. And there's a lot of nickel-based cells out there. Would Tesla consider a cyberbus? It's in Elon's master plan part 2, a smaller mini bus that maybe seats, I'm guessing, 20 or so people. I think that's probably coming. Penang, I don't even know where Penang is. Is that Vietnam? Penang has many engineers too. Some are trained overseas besides local engineers. Roti for breakfast, I had chili for dinner. Should I cancel my date tonight? Thailand is traditionally a hub for car makers. Honda, Toyota, Nissan, etc. all make cars here. Ford also. Ownership will not be a problem for Tesla making a factory here. I don't know. I just don't know the answer to that. Barry Black versus SMR. I didn't see that there was a dispute between Gary Black and Stephen Mark Ryan. I don't know the answer to that. So I think this concept of the uncoiled spring, the coiled spring, the spring has been compressed and something's going to unleash the spring. I think this is happening. VW. So India is just a challenging place to do anything. The regulatory structure of India, the environment in India, just a simple example, I flew into Goa and Uber basically doesn't operate in Goa, which is a state in India south of Mumbai. The taxi scene is controlled by what's known as the taxi mafia, and if you want to introduce something different, you're going to be resisted and some possibly violently. Nobody pays attention to Nikola's stock price, Mike. Lucid stock price is down. Fisker stock price is down. All the Tesla killers are struggling. Why is Semi struggling in production? So Tesla Semi or Tesla Semi is not struggling in production. They are building a new factory, and they did have the groundbreaking of the Giga Nevada. They're expanding Giga Nevada to build a manufacturing line for Tesla Semi. I think they're waiting to see what experience they have on the road with Pepsi and other early customers to learn more about what they need to do to make Semi better and how they can manufacture it better. So once they finish building Giga Nevada's expansion, which my guess is about a year from now, then they're going to deploy the manufacturing line. My guess would be that Semi manufacturing starts going into high gear in about a year. And that's when that happens. Penang is a Malaysian island close to Thailand. I'll take a look. I don't want to be on an island because I think island life gets old fast. My girlfriend says go eat Penang curry. Penang curry is one of my favorite choices. I don't see it very often. I see a lot of larb or lad kaprao or whatever. It's stir-fried pork with basil on rice. I see a lot of that. Am I still buying Tesla options? Your coiled spring analogy means it might be a good idea too. I invested about 1% of my portfolio, maybe 2% of my portfolio in long options, long call options, so that if the stock does well in the next, at the time, 2 years, when I bought them at different times, then, I make an outsized gain. And if I lose, I don't lose that much. Yeah, Massaman curry, Penang curry, green curry, I see it a little, I don't see it a lot. Yeah, thank you, Dan B. I did call Lucid. I'm going to claim credit for calling Lucid. I still believe I'm correct on Lucid, and I think it's pretty obvious now that I was correct on Lucid Motors. I am hopeful that Rivian beats the current expectations they're going to fail. I am hopeful of that. I use Grab for transportation. I use Bolt for transportation, J. Kim. I have not used it for food yet. Tons of BYDs in Bangkok. Yeah, I see tons of BYDs. I believe there's now an EV company, want to say it's Great Wall is making the Aura Cat in Thailand. I haven't seen a lot of those. I've seen a few other EVs, a lot of BYDs. I just saw a Volvo EV yesterday. No sense of reality. Gary Black calls out Stephen Mark Ryan without mentioning Stephen by name. So now, listen. Let's say there's a dispute. I don't know what the dispute is between Barry Black and Stephen Mark Ryan. I tend to align very closely with Stephen Mark Ryan. I actually don't watch Stephen's videos. I do see his posts on X. I don't watch his videos because I feel like I'm watching a younger, better looking, funnier version of myself, and it's kind of like a hit to my self-esteem. But I don't learn from Stephen because we agree on everything. So, we both have the same sources of information. His take on almost everything is similar to my take on everything. His is just more charismatic and funnier than mine. So I don't feel like I learn as much from Stephen, but I'm a huge believer in him. I think Stephen is a credit to the Tesla community. I think he is a very big positive for the Tesla brand, for Tesla fans. And Gary Black is a blowhard who doesn't really understand the company. Like Stephen has demonstrated, because I used to watch more of Stephen's videos. Stephen gets it. He understands bot. He understands FSD. He understands the manufacturing. He understands the battery stuff. Gary Black doesn't know I would swear to you that Gary Black does not know the difference between an LFP battery and an NMC battery. He probably doesn't know that nickel, cobalt, aluminum. He doesn't know what percent. If you told him that there was an NMC 811 battery and you asked him how much cobalt was in it, he wouldn't know, right? Those of us who understand would say 10%, right? Well, what about 955, right? He's not going to know that one, right? Most people aren't going to know that one. Well, it's 90% nickel and 5% manganese and 5% cobalt, right? I don't think Gary Black understands this stuff. He doesn't understand the different roles of LFP and NMC and NCA and the importance of the various developments in battery chemistry. And the fact that battery chemistry actually doesn't matter that much anymore. It's just a matter of manufacturing at scale. And it's just really consistently obvious that Gary doesn't understand Tesla, the company. He understands how people on Wall Street talk about the company, but he just fundamentally doesn't understand the company. Stephen understands the company. So I'm going to follow Stephen every time on that. And I don't like Gary. So who is the first OEM to fail? That's a tough one. I don't know. I think that what you're going to find is that when the first OEM fails, their government will bail them out. I think the real question is, who's the first OEM to fail that doesn't get bailed out? That might be a more interesting question. Please inform us on all your competition, please. My competition? I don't even know. Brian, what is my competition? I don't even know if I have competition. Hello, Danut. Pattaya. Danut, are you a bar girl man, a freelancer man, or are you doing something else in Pattaya? 10% compounded increase energy density is hard. We need lots more research and development. So again, energy density of batteries doesn't matter that much anymore. We're there. The existing batteries have sufficient energy density. If you recognize that the vast majority of drivers only need 300 miles of range, the 300 miles range is probably more than enough for most drivers in most circumstances. We're already there. The lithium iron phosphate batteries are probably delivering 260, 270, 280 miles of range. That's enough. The average American driver drives like 30 miles a day. So 100 miles of range is enough for most use, right? Now you have these moments where you go on trips. If you have decent charging, yeah, all right, maybe it takes an extra 5 or 10 minutes to charge your vehicle versus filling the tank. But you went and took a leak and you bought a coffee and you got back to the car and it's basically done charging and maybe you wait 5 more minutes. I've done this a whole bunch of times. It's not a big deal. I've rarely had that moment like, oh, how long is this going to take to charge? Not a realistic problem for a Tesla driver. So I don't think that's a serious issue. The energy density is nice, and if you can improve energy density, you can get some other gains. But the revolution, the EV revolution is really driven by manufacturing at low cost, more than it is, and expanding the array of vehicles that are available at reasonable cost. That is the real game changer. And energy density is less important than cycle life in some ways. The lithium iron phosphate batteries have more cycle life, which means your battery lasts longer. Although Drew Baglino says that the battery chemistry doesn't really matter that much. It's more like how do you protect the battery from water intrusion, the battery pack from water intrusion and other degradation, that the battery chemistry is not what really takes down most batteries. In what year will a U.S. automaker produce as many BEVs as Tesla did in 2020? 2020. 2020 was that the 500,000 year? I'm going to go with never. I don't think any legacy automaker is ever going to make 500,000 EVs. I think they're going to fail before they get there. I know you get lighter cars with better battery, with better energy density, and you get longer range, but range just isn't that important for the vast majority of the market. 300 miles range is enough. 280 miles range is enough. I want more. I do a lot of road trips. But for the average individual who's driving their car to work and home, and 13,000 miles a year, you're talking about 33 miles a day. So on a really abnormal day, you drive 200 miles. You still have enough range at 280 miles of range. What milestones would you like to see in Elon's next comp package? Great question, Kevin King. Thank you for asking that. So there's this question about Elon's compensation package. What is the Delaware court going to do with the compensation package? First, my prediction as an attorney, the fact that it's taken the judge this long to rule on Elon's compensation package case indicates to me he's likely to overturn the compensation package. He's going to rule it was improper. And the challenge then is to figure out, all right, how is he going to, what's the remedy? What does he do to tailor the compensation package to make it fit within whatever he thinks is legal? And goes along with the idea that was intended by the shareholders and the board when they passed the compensation package. I think it should be declared legal, just to be clear. I think that the judge would be wrong for doing so. It's just my gut. The fact that the judge has taken this long to rule makes it likely the judge has decided to rule he's going to overturn the package. But the next compensation package, my take is, base it on, you would base it on other factors, but base it in part on market cap. And $2 trillion, $4 trillion, $6 trillion, $8 trillion, $10 trillion market cap targets. And Elon gets 20 billion worth, 20 million shares at the $2 trillion market cap mark. 30 million more shares or options, I should say, to acquire at the $4 trillion market cap. 40 million shares at the $6 trillion market cap, additional share options, 60 million, whatever. And it works out to like 200 million shares. I think that was I posted on X about that. I'd have to find it again. Did you see the Elon Ben Shapiro interview? I watched about half of the Elon Ben Shapiro interview. I didn't finish it. I decided I wanted to live stream. I just had this urge to stream and talk to people today. So it was about 12 hours ago. It's on the AP News channel on YouTube. And the volume is low for the first 20 minutes, and then they pick it up. You really have to max your volume out and then strain to hear it for the first 20 minutes or so. Mike Hollinger says, I live in rural North Carolina. We drive 30K miles a year easy. Okay, that's nice, Mike. But what I need and what the average driver needs are two different things. You drive 30,000 miles a year. The average driver drives 13,500 miles a year. So if you drive 30,000 miles a year and there's 350 days a year, you're still driving less than 100 miles a day on average. You're still driving less than 100 miles a day. So 280 miles of range is enough for most of your driving. And if you occasionally have to charge, okay, but you get to charge at home most of the time. 2037, we can get a 4X with 10% compounding. Elon has a huge package. Danut says, it's so easy to understand. It's cleaner than a gas diesel car. It costs less dollars per mile, less parts, less noise. I could go longer, but I guess it's a no-brainer to switch TVs. Yeah, people don't understand it, but people will figure it out. Why can't I can't scroll up in the chat. There we go. Only Elon could go to Israel. Is that like a Nixon quote? Giga Gaza. Yeah, Giga Gaza. There you go. Giga Gaza. That would be fun. Let's see. Mitsubishi or some other Japanese OEM would be first to fail. I think that Mitsubishi would get bailed out by the Japanese government. Toyota would get bailed out by the Japanese government. Mazda, I'm not so sure about. VTOL and cargo ships. Let's see. Most cars drive from home to work and back again, sometimes to the supermarket and back again. That's 80-90% of all cars. Yeah, even like pickup trucks. You know, how many pickup trucks tow? How many pickup trucks are used to tow? 50% or less? How many pickup trucks tow 10,000 pounds? Less than 10%? How many pickup trucks tow 10,000 pounds more than 100 miles at a shot? Very small percentage. So if you know, only 50% of truck buyers, let's say only 80% of truck buyers or 75% of truck buyers are satisfied with Cybertruck as it meets what their needs are. Well, that's a total addressable market of like 2.5, 3 million pickup trucks in the US alone. I think they'll be okay. Jay Kim says they still think Teslas cost $60,000 plus. All they have to do is go to Tesla.com. All they have to do is go to any car shopping website. And the car shopping websites will show them the options and they'll see what Teslas cost. This idea that people don't know what Teslas cost, like, okay, you talk to some idiot who hasn't bought a car yet and he's been shopping around. If he doesn't ask around, if he doesn't search, you know, at some point, you got to accept that people are idiots. I'm not sure how you target your advertising if the people are too lazy to search to go look on a website. You know, Tesla, just Google Tesla, right? 20 years ago, I drove a pickup. Less than 1% of the time it was used as a truck. Yeah, exactly. I've driven my Model Y 36,000 miles in 11 months, supercharged 1 to 2 times a month, 90% charge at home. Yeah, absolutely. And if you learn more about it, you know, hey, I'm going on a trip today, then you can set your car to charge so that it will reach 100% right before you leave, or 98%. You may not want to charge all the way to 100. Most pickups are ego builders. Most cars are ego builders. How well do cameras on Teslas work during rain and snow? I haven't seen a lot of complaints about Tesla's cameras in rain and snow. I think they have something like hydrophilic or something. There's some sort of coating on the cameras that prevents that. Mike Hollinger, thank you for your support. How can we be an investor in the Podcar? Oh, let me address that, Mike. It's a really good question. My plan for the Podcar, assuming I go forward with it, and I do intend to go forward with it, but we'll see how it works out, is for the next 2 years, I'm going to spend my own money. I'm not taking any investors. I want to build prototypes. I want to hire engineers from these college teams that are building EVs as part of student formula student, whatever you want to call it, that are building EVs on those teams because they have really relevant experience. In Thailand or Malaysia, I can hire engineers for about $10,000 a year, hire 1 or 2 engineers. I expect to spend about $50,000 US a year for about 2 years building Podcar. First Podcar prototype is going to suck, right? We finish building the first Podcar prototype and say, okay, why does this suck so much? How do we make this suck less? Now we build the second prototype. Second prototype's still going to suck a lot. Okay, how do we make it suck? The basic philosophy of the first 2 years of the company is, how do we make this suck less? And then hopefully by the 10th iteration, at the end of 2 years, we've got a Podcar prototype that doesn't suck that much, right? And then I reach out to Tesla and say, hey, we'd like to try installing FSD. We'd like to talk to you about licensing FSD, installing FSD on our Podcars, and let's see if we can get it working on our Podcars. And we fly a few prototypes over and we install FSD on them and we see if we can get them working. And once we have a prototype that doesn't suck that much and we have some sort of self-driving licensing agreement, at least in prospect, then we do a funding round. Probably a crowdfunding round, try to raise $2 million. And the issue is, if I did a funding round now, it would probably be, I'd raise $200,000 to $500,000 and have to sell like 10-20% of the company in order to get it. But if I get to the stage that I just described, where we've got a prototype that doesn't suck and we've got a licensing agreement with Tesla, now I can raise $2 million for 2% of the company. And one of my goals, if you watch what's happened with Elon, right? What happened with PayPal, what's happened now with Tesla, I don't want to lose control of my company. So the longer I wait to raise money, the less of my company I have to give up to get the money I need to now build a real engineering team, because I raised $2 million. Now I've been spending $50,000 a year. Now I spend $500,000 a year for another year. And we develop a legit, really go from the prototype that doesn't suck that much to a prototype that's, hey, that's pretty good. And then we start manufacturing. And one of the goals for the Podcar are, again, these are stretch goals. The goals are $1,000 build cost. Sounds crazy. I believe it's viable. Okay. Let's say we use lithium iron phosphate batteries. Let's say the price of lithium iron phosphate battery cells gets down to around $50 a kilowatt hour, which I think is close to the current price of lithium iron phosphate cells in China. So $50 a kilowatt hour, 10 kilowatt hour pack would be $500, right? So with first versions, we probably go with a 5 kilowatt hour pack, so it's $250 for the battery pack. Rest of the car, $750. Now, look, if it ends up being a $2,000 build cost, I'm not going to cry. But it's a stretch goal. Let's go for a $1,000 build cost. $1,000 build cost, 20 miles a kilowatt hour, 30 kilometers a kilowatt hour. The Model 3 is 4.6 miles a kilowatt hour. This is, I think, really probably the hardest goal, to get to 20 miles a kilowatt hour. The Model 3 gets 4.6 miles a kilowatt hour, 7 or so kilometers per kilowatt hour. So you really want to 4x the efficiency. Sounds easy, it's not, but we go from 1,400 kilograms of weight to 200 kilograms of weight, or mass, right? Vehicle mass, curb weight. If we go from a frontal surface area of about 30 square feet to about 12 square feet, because it's wider, it's shorter, it's narrower, and it's shorter, then I think and then you get a lower coefficient of drag because some other things we're going to do on the vehicle. I think we have a shot at getting to 20 miles a kilowatt hour. If we end up at 15 miles a kilowatt hour, I'm not going to cry. And then, the ultimate goal is, can we drive the cost to the owner, which is us? Can we drive the cost of the owner down to a penny a mile, right? One U.S. penny a mile, 1 U.S. penny a kilometer, a little less than a penny a kilometer, so that we can sell rides for 5 cents a mile. So we can sell rides for 4 cents a kilometer, right? If we could sell rides for 4 cents a kilometer, a little more than 1 baht per kilometer for people in Thailand, that's game changer. That's a radical game changer for life, for working class and middle class people in developing countries and poor countries. There's a target audience there of 1 billion people or more. And if our total addressable market is only 1 billion people, I'm not going to cry. Yeah, I don't know why, there's a lot of talk about the Tesla Hertz deal. I don't know what the problem was. I have not analyzed that thoroughly. Hypothetically, if your Podcar went public, what would your ticker symbol be? I haven't thought about it. I haven't thought about going public. My expectation would be, if we build a successful company, we would probably never go public. We might sell out to a buyer. TITS ticker symbol. How many bots do you think Tesla will make by 2030? I think that Tesla will scale bots easier than it will scale cars. I think if Tesla is making 20 million cars a year by 2030, then 100 million bots by 2035, 100 million bots a year by 2035, I think is doable. Can Podcar run on methane? No, Podcar runs on electricity. I think Mark is joking with me here. Tony Seba predicts automotive apocalypse. I mean, there is an apocalypse coming. Yeah. Tesla SST VTOL. I don't think that Tesla's going to do a VTOL. I think that between the Boring Company, tunnels, hyperloops, and the Starship Earth-to-Earth launches, I think the market for commercial aviation dies. And electric VTOL will be a plaything for rich people. I don't see that scales to be a valuable proposition for customers, but I don't understand the value proposition of how an electric VTOL jet delivers trips for people at low cost. If you do Hyperloop tunnels between major cities, I think you're able to deliver those rides for a lower cost. You're not subject to weather issues. I think that ends up working out better for the vast majority of people. Hertz ditched 20,000 EVs and only 700 of them with Teslas. That was the real story. I don't know that that's true. I don't know the right answer for that story. Will Tesla bot be faster than Usain Bolt? No. Maybe in the long run there will be a bot that's faster than Usain Bolt, but that's not really the goal of Tesla bot. Bots that will build bots that would build bots in space. Yeah, that's probably coming. What would you estimate the licensing cost alone would be per car? The way I anticipate the licensing agreement for Podcar would be the revenue share for inserting the vehicles in the robotaxi network. It would basically be on the revenue share, and maybe we pay them something up front and we get a better deal on the revenue share, or maybe, but that's something we would negotiate later. I haven't really thought that through. We talk to Tesla, we see what they want to do, we try to work something out. Active thermal management will be there. So I anticipate going with lithium iron phosphate batteries for the Podcar because they require less thermal management than nickel-based cells. Nickel-based cells are a lot more sensitive to temperature. They're a lot more sensitive on cycle life. I think lithium iron phosphate batteries are inherently less likely to have thermal runaway. So what would you estimate? So, right. Look, if the licensing cost of the hardware and software on the Podcar ends up being $5,000, that throws off the $1,000 per unit cost, right? But we figure it out. I don't think it's going to cost $5,000 a car. And the cameras, you probably don't need 8 cameras on a Podcar. You probably need 6. It's $100 for the cameras. The chip set, maybe that's $100. So maybe you pay them $500 a car for the hardware. I don't know. That's a conversation that I would have to have with Tesla when we get to that point. But that's 2 years away. Where will the hippies work when the bots take their jobs? Do hippies work? I was a pilot. Vertical flight is a Pandora's box. Disaster waits. I think it's possible. It's vertical takeoff and landing. It's not vertical flight. It's doable. It's just, yeah. And self-driving, self-flying planes will probably be better at vertical flight. Gen 3 to save greater than 30% than Model Y. My impression is that the Gen 3, the next generation vehicle platform, the manufacturing cost, Drew Baglino stated the goal was half the cost, half the footprint, twice the volume. Right? So if they're able to get half the manufacturing cost, then ultimately they can sell a vehicle for $20,000 a pop. But there was a Cybertruck video where some Tesla employee from Giga Texas said they were aiming for $25,000 to $29,000 sales price. I don't know. That guy's more reliable than me. Mike Hollinger, thank you. Would you consider funding Pod by a public platform like Start Engine similar to Boxable so non-accredited investors can invest? Crowdfunding is for non-accredited investors. I don't know what platform you're talking about, but the crowdfunding idea for the initial round of investing would be crowdfunding does not require accreditation. So yes, the initial, if I was trying to raise a lot more money, then I would probably have to go with accredited investors. But the idea is to do a crowdfunding round. And then the goal is, can you get to the point where you're manufacturing at enough scale that you can start generating revenue that you don't have to raise money again? Because the Podcars will be generating enough revenue. Once you actually have a live robo-taxi network, each Podcar generates like $20,000 a car. Now, I think the strategy would be, holy shit, we need to make as many of these possible as fast as possible. Because as soon as you have demonstrated a working model, there will be 10 companies in China making knockoffs. And you need to manufacture in volume. And now the Chinese knockoffs will not be as reliable. Their ultimate long-term cost per mile will be higher, but they'll be out there and they'll be competing. So you've got to manufacture. The goal is, can we make 10 million of them and get them on the road before the market is saturated? And if you've got 10 million vehicles making $20,000 a year in gross profit, I'm retired. Now, at that point, I might be a trillionaire, right? This is Warren's fantasy, right? I'm not saying this is reality. It's just fantasy. Until I actually do something, it's fantasy. And Mike, thank you again so much for your support. I really appreciate it. The plan is to do a crowdfunding round. The problem is that I don't want to do what Boxable did. I don't want to do what Aptera did, which is raise money on a story. I want to actually have something genuine, real, that is credible. And I never thought that the Aptera prototypes were credible, and I never thought that the Boxable prototypes were credible, and I still don't. Right? I don't think that they've delivered credible. Boxable selling a vehicle for the same price basically as a Model 3 when it only has 2 seats and it doesn't have the same crash test performance and it doesn't have the same software. Like, who exactly is buying this thing? And the solar cells in the car is just like, that's storytelling. There's no way that it makes sense to put solar cells in a car. You just have to understand surface area and how much energy is generated per surface area to understand that. Hertz announced last week that he's selling roughly a third of his fleet of electric vehicles, roughly 20,000 cars that are predominantly Teslas. Yes, I saw that. I haven't dug into that story. The story is that it seems like Hertz customers weren't willing to pay more to drive Teslas. And then there's a theory that they weren't treating them well. I don't know. Thank you, Digital Blade. Does my Tesla bot get a frunk or junk? Neither. No, Penang is in Malaysia, apparently, Clyde. I have mainstream media articles that disagree with you, J-Cam. Hertz only brought 50,000 of their 100,000 Tesla pledge. Hertz only has 60,000 electric cars. Yeah, I mean, look, Hertz made a bet. I think that it was a good move by Hertz to try it, and it didn't work out. Companies have to experiment, and then maybe down the road it becomes more viable. Biden says Tesla is the nation's largest EV manufacturer. That's impressive that he finally got that. Solar cells in a car is dumb. Glad you aren't. Boxable or Arcimoto? Arcimoto, look, I made a mistake on Arcimoto. I mean, I did kind of call it when I visited Arcimoto that I didn't see the work ethic, that they talked too much about work-life balance. I didn't see the energy that I saw in other locations. I did make a small bet. I did buy some Arcimoto stock, but I was not really that impressed with Arcimoto. I do think that if they had focused, we're going to make the FUV, we're going to make one variant of the FUV, and we're going to make a lot of them, and we're going to sell them, that would have worked. And they had 6 different versions of the FUV, and then they got distracted by a 3-wheeled bicycle or something like that. They got distracted by all these other things instead of focusing and doing one thing and doing one thing well. That's the message. That's the lesson from Tesla, right? What did they do? They did the Roadster. They did the Roadster well. They did the Model S. They did the Model S well. Once they were doing the Model S well, they did the Model X. Whether they did the Model X well is an open question. Then they did the Model 3. It took a while to get Model 3 right. They got Model 3 right. Then they did Model Y. Now they're doing Cybertruck. They're going to get Model Cybertruck right. Then they go to the next gen vehicle. You got to really focus on one thing and get it done right. So for me, Podcar, people are like, oh, you should make a 2-passenger version. No. We're going to do one thing, or we're going to do it right. It's not going to tow. It's not going to do this. It's not going to do that. One thing, we do it right. That's the game. Yeah, you got to watch Pelosi's stock picks, exactly. EV battery costs dropping faster than predicted, even by Tony Seba. So EV battery prices, battery prices are dropping in China right now. There's sort of been a lull in the growth of electric vehicles. We are poised for a rise in energy storage devices that's coming. And as energy storage deploys in higher volume, you're going to see a much greater demand for batteries. I don't know what's going to happen. Is the growth in vehicle and battery production going to grow fast enough to keep up with the demand that's going to come from electric vehicles and energy storage? I don't know the answer to that. I think the next gen vehicle is going to sell in high volume. It's going to use a lot of batteries, because they said in the Master Plan 3 it's going to have a 53 kilowatt hour battery pack, which surprised me. I thought they were going for 40 kilowatt hours. At a 53 kilowatt hour battery pack, if you make 8 million vehicles, that's a lot of batteries. I think FUV would work in Thailand, yeah. Will Arcimoto come back? I don't think so. I don't think Arcimoto's coming back. Hertz found they couldn't treat EVs like... The Arcimoto FUV costs too much. Even a $12,000 unit cost, it would cost too much for Thailand. I don't think it would be viable. It wouldn't really lane split the way that a lot of vehicles do. It's a little too wide for that. The 3-wheel design forces you to have greater width, which is awkward in a lot of situations. The Aptera is like ridiculous. It's basically as wide as an F-150. When will Tesla release the model GFY? Maybe that's what they're going to call the next gen vehicle. Do I think Figure is credible? Brendan, thank you for a great question. I only looked at Figure briefly. Figure is a company that announced a humanoid robot. I think they had to make a cup of coffee or something like that. I don't know enough, so take this with a grain of salt. I looked at their leadership team. I went to their website, looked at their leadership team. The top 5 people do not include a legit engineer. That's a trouble spot for me. The CEO is apparently really good at selling startups. I want somebody who's really good at building a business that scales. The chief technology officer looks like he's wearing a Star Trek uniform. Does he have experience manufacturing something at scale? Now, there's other people on the team. I don't know. I'm skeptical about whether what they're doing can scale. I hope that it does scale, but I'm skeptical about it. And I've been busy. I'm living life. I've spent 3 solid days at an event with young engineers, young university student engineers building EVs and getting their EVs to run. And I've been focused on that. And I've been focused on, my girlfriend and life in Bangkok. So I haven't devoted as much attention to this as I usually do. I pay attention on the X platform. I see what I see. I did see Figure on that. I did do some research on it, but I didn't dive deep on it. Am I tuning in for the Tesla earnings call? I will almost certainly turn in. I don't even know when the earnings call is. Is it the 24th? I think it's the 24th. I always listen to the earnings call. I will probably listen to the earnings call live if possible. I will probably record it. I will probably dissect it, and I will probably make a video about it. That's been my pattern for years now, and I certainly expect to do that. Gali from Hyperchange was on the Arcimoto board and shared what he could. Sounds like the culture was not all there for such a tough business. I saw Gali's video. I think that one of the games that these startups play is you bring in a celebrity on your board, you bring in a celebrity like Sandy Monroe and say that he's working on your product or you're consulting with Sandy, and that's not a solution to the problems. I think now looking at it, Gali was not really qualified to be on the board of Arcimoto, and that was a sign of a problem. I don't know. But I think, I listened to what Gali said, and I think Gali spoke from the heart. I've always loved Gali. Gali was one of my favorite early Tesla channels. Love the guy. Will Podcar take you away from YouTube posting? I don't think so. Like, we still got to see if I can get to the point of actually making Podcar. Look, I'm not doing that much on YouTube these days. I'm doing, a video a week maybe. That doesn't take that much, and I'll probably post about Podcar once I get Podcar going. Thank you, Dewiz. That's very kind of you to say that. Tesla, Kia, BYD are the only three that have a chance. I think there are other Chinese car companies that have a chance, maybe Xpeng. I'm not a big believer in NIO, but they might be able to turn it around. They might be able to make it work. Great Wall. There's a few Chinese companies that are making EVs, and I think they're making progress. Kia, Hyundai, I think they have potential. The Ioniq 6 seems like a good vehicle. The Ioniq 5, they're selling them in Thailand, or at least they have showrooms. I don't know if I've seen an Ioniq on the road here. I see lots of BYDs. I don't know if I've seen an Ioniq on the road. Not many companies have CEO as stubborn and bloody-minded enough to win, though. Yeah, win through, yeah. Stellantis to leave North America? What? Is that true? Wow, that's crazy. Stellantis USA headquarters. Will Podcar come with hair? No, the Podcar will be bald. This is the aerodynamic look for Podcar. We got to get rid of the short hairs here. Podcar will be bald. This is the aerodynamic look of Podcar. Probably a little narrower here. Elon is taking sodium batteries now. What happens to lithium-ion batteries? I haven't seen Elon in sodium batteries. I expect sodium batteries long run to end up in energy storage devices, and lithium iron phosphate batteries will continue to be used in vehicles and energy storage devices. They are fairly low cost, great cycle life. They're great batteries. Ton of Ioniqs here in the north of Thailand. Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that many Ioniqs. I'm surprised. I wouldn't invest in the Chinese companies, but the Korean ones are great. Yeah. Okay, well, I think I've gone long enough. Is my microphone, I think my microphone is too loud. Has this been a problem? Have I been popping or something? Why is my microphone so loud? I don't know what's going on. Stellantis North America head is out. New man is European. And nobody complained about my sound, but I'm looking at my thing now, and I noticed that it seems to be maxing out the microphone, which seems really weird. Are we going to locals? No, I'm probably not going to do a live stream on locals today. I will do a live stream in the near future on locals. I need to get settled. So just short term, I'm here in this condo for a few days. I'm going to be going to Vietnam for a few days. I'm going to come back. I think when I come back from Vietnam, my plan is to rent a place for a month. And then I will be more stable. And then I will be able to resume, go back to sort of a normal content production of, maybe 2 videos a week on YouTube, 1 video a week on locals, and maybe more content production on X as well. Because my X output yesterday was down because I was just busy. It's good to have busy stuff in life, and it's also good to set aside time to do things like this. So lots and lots of BYD in Malaysia. Tesla slowly increasing. Polestar 1,700 miles, July 22. Okay, car, but I bought Tesla. Anyways, thanks, Jay, Kim, and Warren for correcting. Okay, so, all right, I want to thank everybody for watching. I think this is a good time to call it. I think I've gone for about an hour and a half. So I want to thank everybody for watching. I'll keep you posted. I will probably do a video. I think I'm going to be in Vietnam next Sunday, so I may do a live stream from Vietnam. We'll see how we're doing. We need more Warren content. I hope you mean content. Yeah, more coming. Maybe I'll do a video from Vietnam on, what's Sunday? I think I'll be able to do a live stream on Sunday from Vietnam. We'll see how it goes. I'll start off with Good Morning Vietnam. That'll make perfect sense, right? All right. So I find, yeah. Oh, so yeah, just really quick, DeWiz, YouTube video content on X, formerly known as Twitter, is still awkward. I think that the engineers at X are working on coming up with a way of making video on that platform better. I think there's progress being made, and we'll see it over time. I don't think it's as high a priority for them as I'd like it to be, but I'm sure they have a lot of priorities that they're dealing with. I think X payments is going to be a really big deal. So I don't have any updated stock price predictions. So yeah. So anyway, no, I'm going to a beach town, J. Kim. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed doing this. I should be doing another video in about a week. And I have 2 videos in the works. One video about dating in Thailand with E4 Electric, and one video about the event that I just went to with the Thai Society of Automotive Engineers. That one is I'm halfway through editing, so that one will probably be up in a day or 2. So thanks everybody so much for watching.